Hey there! Welcome to Alleyah's profile. In this video, I'm back with another PowerPoint related video. I'll be showing you what I've learned in PowerPoint, using the Morph Transition, merging shapes, and more tricks. So get ready! Prep your eyes, ears, and your brain. Oh wait, before we head on to the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And comment! Alright, let's get started. First, we're going to talk about some rules I learned when using the magical Morph Transition. I'm using this book clip art I made as an example. I'm positioning the book on where I want it to start. Then, I duplicate the slide. On the duplicated slide, I make some changes. This is where I want the book to end up in. This is how big I want it to be. All the changes that you have to do must be done on the second slide. Then set its transition to morph. Now that's the most basic use for morph. It's a smooth transition. And it's just my favorite transition to work with because, like I said, it's magical. You can get creative with it. It wouldn't be so complicated using it, especially if you remember these rules that I'll tell you. First rule is to make sure you have the same images on both slides. For example, if in the first slide your clip art is grouped and in the second slide your clip art is ungrouped, the transition won't work. It would just have a faded transition. Make sure that both images are grouped or both should be ungrouped. Both clip arts should be grouped when you need it to be as one image until the end. But you can make the image ungrouped if you have to move the shapes around for the second slide. The main goal here is to just be consistent because the morph transition will see the second clip art as a different image if it's not similar to the first clip art settings. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing for you because we're just starting. On to the next one. I'm using a card just like the cards from my card theme template. Link in the description for the free template. So for the following rules, these are for the texts inside the shapes. 1. You can resize the word if you're going to make the shape bigger. For this one, only the card gets bigger, but the word stays in the same size. Well, for the second slide, once you resize the card, you can also increase the size of the word inside it. Here is how it should look. Or you can do it vice versa. You can start with big, then go smaller. Just as long as it's the same word. There are also some things that can ruin the morph transition when it comes to the words inside the shapes. The first slide's card has the all caps word blue. If you type blue in lowercase for the second slide, it would fade instead of morph, especially if the word is misspelled or if it's in a different font. Expect that it would fade. We're done with morph transition. I'm really hoping you got all that. Once you master it, you'll be able to make unlimited creative styles. Try practicing on your own or maybe even testing on some things you want to try. Experiment on them. Maybe you can even teach me some things you've learned. On to the next, merging shapes. There are different kinds of merging shape options, but for this video, I'll be showing you 3 of them because that's what I've learned so far. These will be found near the upper left corner of the screen. You will see merge shapes. As an example, we'll be doing a switch animation. That's why I'm putting a rectangle here. We'll go back to that later. So on another slide, I'm making a whole part using a rectangle. Then its sides should be rounded, so I'll use some circles. For the first merge option, this is union. I've already introduced this to you in my last video and like I said, it permanently merges into one shape and this is how it looks like. If for example you made a clip art, then you used union from merge shapes instead of grouping, that would make your clip art merge into one whole shape. Merging it also means that it would be in one color. You can't separate the previous shapes you used unless you undo the action. So back to the example, I'm copying the shape I made back in the first slide and positioning it. Then I'm going to select all the shapes in the slide, the rectangle and the hole shape. Go to Merge Shapes and select Subtract. Now you'll understand why I called it a hole shape. The rectangle now has a hole. When using Subtract, it cuts the shape with the other shape that you're merging it to. To easily understand what I'm going to explain, I'll name the shapes we've used. The rectangle is the dough, the shape you want to keep. Then this hole shape we made is like the cookie cutter, the shape of what kind of hole we want to subtract. Make sure to always put your cookie cutter shape on top of your dough shape. If you put it on the other way around, the dough shape on top and the cookie cutter shape behind, the resulting shape will be the cookie cutter shape. Get it? Okay, moving on. We're still going with the switch animation. I'm drawing a circle as the actual switch. Then I'm drawing another rectangle. I'll be using the send to back option to put this behind the huge rectangle. You can watch my previous PowerPoint video to go in depth with the send to back option and other things related to that. So as you can see, the huge rectangle has the hole that we just subtracted earlier. Now I'm going to position where I want these shapes to start on the first slide. Then duplicate this slide again. And I'll move the switch to the right and also the rectangle. That's the end result when we use Morph. For the last option we'll be talking about in this video, it's the Fragment option. We'll be using two rectangles to work on. So here, I'm drawing two identical rectangles that are kind of intersecting each other. And then I'm selecting them so I can merge the shapes using Fragment. Fragment basically divides the shape into new shapes. I'm coloring the new shapes in to show you clearly. And for another morph transition, I'm duplicating the slide. For the second slide, I'm scattering the pieces on the slide. Now here's the shapes that Fragment created. And use the morph transition for the second slide and voila! For those of you who watch my PowerPoint tutorials on TikTok, you know how I do shadow effects. You know that I copy the shape, color it black, and set its transparency to like 40%, depends on my mood, and then just send it back, then group. Well, actually, I learned a much easier way. An obvious way that a comment from my TikTok video pointed out. Thanks, by the way. Always feel free to teach me something new and I'll be glad to teach you more about it. When using the shadow effect on shapes, they always have feathered edges. If you want the solid edges like what I do, you can go to shadow options once you select the shadow effect. You can adjust the transparency, the distance, the angle, and of course, the blur. To create a solid edge, just set the blur to 0. So those are some tips I have for PowerPoint and I hope you guys enjoyed. And of course, learned. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Follow my social media accounts to connect and stay tuned for more possible PowerPoint tutorials and other stuff. Yes, I have other stuff, so stay tuned for that. Feel free to comment down below other tips you want to learn or tips you want to teach me. Make sure to like the video for more content like these and subscribe to keep up with more future videos. See you on my next video. Bye!